Hello everyone. In today's episode, I'm joined with Taffy, and in today's episode, it's all about autism, and Taffy's son is autistic, and we're going to speak about what Taffy does, and all about raising awareness for autism. So, thank you for joining me today.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, because I saw I kind of found you before this, like, I suppose Instagram Live, wasn't it? Like on Instagram, doing like all sorts and raising awareness, speaking about different subjects surrounding autism. So I think that's great.
Yes. I am helping quite a few people to raise awareness of autism and invisible disabilities in general. So I have met quite a few people on different platforms like Clubhouse, Instagram. So although I don't host my own podcasts or any audio except on Clubhouse, I am invited to speak. So basically when I can, I do.
Yeah. And for anyone listening and me, what's Clubhouse?
Clubhouse is an audio app.
Okay.
Basically, you go into rooms. Anyone can go into any topic that you're interested in, and mine are construction and autism related rooms. And basically you can sit in the audience and listen to people on stage talking, or you can raise your hand and you can go up on stage and actually have some input, so you can share your own experiences, which is what I do on Clubhouse. So I highly suggest to anyone who's looking for a community, a like-minded community, to go on there, because I've learned so much about autism, especially from older people. So adults who are on the spectrum have been able to guide me, I guess, in terms of how my son will be living life and how he lives life now. So it's been super helpful.
Yeah, because another version of a Clubhouse is like, when you go on holiday, you go into Clubhouse. I didn't know if that's where you were going.
No, it's an app. Honestly, you need to go on. Because again, you don't have to speak. But I think I was saying to someone today that Clubhouse is actually the reason many people who are disabled have found their confidence, because they can go on there and share lived experiences and know they're making a difference to someone else's life. Whereas before, because there was always that judgment on Clubhouse, you can't see each other, you don't know what you all look like. If anything, you're surprised when you then meet the person on Instagram. But I think it removes that barrier of the being prejudged before you share your experience or your story or even advice. So I highly recommend you download the app and join.
Yeah. So anyone who wants to join, it's recommended. Even though I didn't know about it, now I do. So if we can, if you could maybe explain why in the first place you kind of decide to do like this, what you do, like raising awareness for autism.
I kind of fell into the advocacy role especially for autism, because I was looking for information myself. Because I think, especially when you are a neurotypical, it's difficult to understand what someone who is divergent is going through. So that then gave me a bit of a passion in raising awareness, because I want other people to actually learn what I've learned, because it's made such a massive difference. I know I'm biased because my son is autistic, but I think now that with the world the way it is in terms of the internet, we are starting to know new people, and the chances are someone who is on the spectrum, but they may not be diagnosed, they may not have said they're autistic, but you have been around someone and you probably love or care for someone who's on the spectrum. And the more information you can get, the better. So this is part of the reason why I am basically sharing my experience as a neurotypical who wants to make the world better for people who are different.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into advocacy.
Yeah, I think it's good because you can talk about what you want, because lots to talk about. But yeah, I enjoy doing it. You enjoy doing it, and it helps other people if they feel a bit uncomfortable, that to see other people doing it, that they might get influenced or encouraged to have a go themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yeah, because autism is a big thing, and it's hard to learn, I suppose. Firstly,
Mm-hmm.
when you first hear of it, and I know, especially if you're like a parent for your son that has autism, because you kind of need to learn about it yourself so he can understand it.
Yes, 100%. I think I will admit today that I will never know 100% of what life is like for him, but at least if I can push myself out there to find out a little bit more, I think at least I can say that I'm trying to understand, because the reality is it's your identity at the end of the day, isn't it? And we all want to know where we come from. That's just the reality of it, and autism is part of my son's journey. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's always a journey somewhere.
It,
Yeah, yeah. How old, if you don't mind me asking, how old is your son?
my son's 5, so
Okay.
still quite young. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So is it quite recent he got diagnosed then?
He got diagnosed about 2 years ago. So he was diagnosed early, very early, because I guess in the UK, they tend to try to leave the diagnosis until later on. So they see how he gets on at school or in more formal settings. But the signs were there. He's not one end or the other, he's in the middle. So we were lucky to have a pediatrician who was willing to, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but it is setting us free. It was freeing for me, especially, to find out that my son, at least to put a name on it. A lot of people don't want to label different things or differences, but I think, like I said before, it is that identity, and it also helps for you to understand what it is that you're dealing with. So yeah, he would have been about 3 when he was diagnosed, and he's non-verbal, so I think it made it easier for them to diagnose him.
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah,
yeah, I suppose it's more seeing that on that appearance, isn't it? What someone's like.
it is, and you've just made me remember, that so many people say, but he doesn't look autistic. But it's just one of those things. There is no look to it, so it is, yeah. And again, it is raising that awareness that you've met one autistic person, you've only met one autistic person, so it's something to bear in mind.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I was diagnosed when I was 9, and I'm now 20. So quite a long time ago, I think, about 20 years ago. But well, I would say that 20 years ago, like a while ago for me. But I was 9. I went to mainstream for a year. Then I left, went to special school, and
Oh, okay. So I
yeah,
can learn quite a lot from you then, Mason, can I?
yeah, yeah,
Because that is one thing that parents struggle with. Parents who are raising divergent children is mainstream the right route for our children? And I know obviously it's different circumstances, isn't it? But it's
yeah.
always good. I learned so much from people who are adults who have already walked this path. So yeah, I guess we're now friends for life,
Well,
aren't we?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, what happened was I went to a proper primary school, and I left happy because I wasn't impressed with maybe some of the people there, um, but I went on to mainstream, and my parents kind of knew it wasn't going to be for me before. and you don't meet everyone beforehand, and like injection day they say it's going to be fine, you'll be fine, and I kind of think, okay, never done this before, let's give it a go.
Yeah.
And part of my autism at that particular time, I didn't have any confidence, so I was if I needed help, I wouldn't say. I'd be like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. If, for example, class of children are there, they all know what the task is, what they're doing, and maybe I'm a bit distracted. I'm a bit distracted, maybe, and I don't follow. Like, for example, if we're reading a book, I can't read a book. I can't concentrate enough to read a book. A film, maybe.
Yeah, and I completely understand as you're talking. Yeah,
yeah,
I do. I see that. Yeah,
and like I and yeah, and from there I was there a year, and a year of hell, I would say. And I don't like to use that word, but it kind of it kind of makes you feel like that at that particular time. And I was and there was moments where you could see that teachers there do not understand autism at all. They say they do because you're getting on with the work. Of course they're going to say you're doing fine, and to keep people pleased and say, yeah, they're doing right, and when they're not, they don't like that. The teachers and want everyone to get on. But for me, hard to get out mainstream. Not easy. Not
yeah,
easy.
yeah. Did you have a one-to-one then when you were in mainstream school?
Yeah, there was like this classroom where like people with special needs went and then needed the extra help. And yeah, well, we did all that, and yeah, I did have a one-to-one. I actually liked the one-to-one. I did like a few teachers there.
Yeah,
The day I left with the maths teacher I liked, so I was happy there. Um, but yeah, there were people. Probably one friend. I wasn't really focused on friendships really there. Really, I was more focused on how life was going. I'm not enjoying this. There's no point making friends when I'm not having fun at the school. And I had one friend there, and still stay in contact now.
it's
Yeah, and might not talk to each other all the time, but still friends in that, and talk, and eventually I looked around the school. I got taken out. Of course, not saying to the mainstream school, I'm going to look at a special school for me to go have a look at, because if they do that, they'll be asking all these certain questions. Why? What's wrong with this school? And there's no point explaining that, because I don't know. Things might have changed since I went, but
yeah.
I doubt it. I doubt it. Well, who knows? But most people I realise who are autistic and don't have a very good experience of a mainstream, and there were situations where you could tell teachers understand. I go like confusing with speech, with how the way they say things,
Yeah,
which which is not it. One thing could go to the person that's not autistic, but another one, someone is, they may come out a different way, like the saying that you've got maybe you're too big for your boots, and an autistic
yes,
person will say, oh look, my boots are not big, are they?
yeah. Or it's raining cats and dogs, and then you look out and you think, well, they're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And you know, this is what I mean. I didn't know this. If we had this conversation 2-3 years ago, I would not know exactly. I wouldn't be nodding. I wouldn't understand. I wouldn't even know. We'd be talking completely different languages. But now that it's the awareness, isn't it? It's me putting myself out there to actually find out. And I think it doesn't cost much, and it's only a little bit of time to go, talk to someone, listen to someone, even Google. We are on our phones all the time, so you can Google just to make it a little bit easier. I think, yeah, that's just, yeah, the way I see it.
Yeah.
So I understand, as you're explaining, even the reading. So I read with, because my son is a twin, so I read with both boys in the mornings. I'm trying to, and I've noticed that, Oliver, he's not grasping the reading side of things, because he is distracted. There's too much going on for him. Even if it's quiet, he's just it's just different for him. So it's finding that environment, and I think it will take a while, because like I say, I will never understand your world or Oliver's world, but so it will take time to even figure out what it is, what kind of environment I need to create for him to be able to read. He might never read. It's just one of those, but we have to accept that we all are different.
Have you watched a series called The A Word?
Yes, I have. The A Word is a British one, isn't it? And then Atypicals.
I think that.
Yes, I have. But I watched it before my son was diagnosed, and I think I need to watch it now, because I did avoid just before diagnosis. I tried watching things like Atypical, and I couldn't. I just felt like I even feel bad saying this to you, but I felt like my child had died when I was going through the diagnosis. So I was constantly I was really, really mourning. So I couldn't watch anything that was linked to autism or any disability at all. And that's because I didn't understand. I didn't know. So it's a lack of knowledge.
It's a bit. It kind of let me talk, like you talked to me about your son who's non-verbal, just like relate the situation into the A Word, and you saying that you thought it was really bad and it wasn't no good, like to me, because that series was literally that, and like the mum and the dad and not getting on, like they got the granddad on there who he said he didn't want it, and like it's like, I suppose like non-verbal is tough. I think I got told that I could have had like epilepsy when I was younger, and I don't have it, but I could have had like other things as well, and like it being autistic can be hard, like especially being, I suppose like a non-verbal person that will probably be like that for quite a long time, and like
and I'm glad you said about what they call the comorbidities of autism, that it isn't just being on the spectrum in terms of autism. It comes with other things. Oliver shows signs of OCD and a bit of anxiety, and that is common. So again, it's something that other people need to be aware of, that there are other things and that are linked to mental health as well. So if you can't be anything, at least be kind.
That's it. It. Especially what's going on in the world at the moment. That's very true. But yeah, with that, it's like going with OCD. Like even me, I'll do certain things, maybe not as bad as I was, but I would like even when I was younger, I would have a fear of dying. That was probably near when I was diagnosed with autism, around that time, and I always had a fear. I say to mum, am I gonna die? I'm gonna die, and it's always repetitive. And I would do, so even today, like I'll possibly before a podcast episode, I'll go in the other room, open the drawer 3 times and take something out, put it back in. It used to be worse. It used to be put the light switch on and off 10 times maybe, and it gets better. Like if you say like it's in your head, it says do that, and you kind of say to it, no, not going to do it this time, and you may feel like something bad's going to happen. That was like what I thought. Like, if I don't do this now, something bad's going to happen. Like, if I don't go in the other room, or if I don't look under the desk in the kitchen, something bad's going to happen, and something's going to happen. And if you say to yourself, no, nothing's going to happen, and then you can limit yourself how many times you do something, which doesn't mean you don't have to do it or it's bad.
Yeah.
You just limit it, and
you're just managing it, aren't you? And again, with raising more awareness, I guess you then are able to accept that it is the way it is. Do you know what I mean? That it is normal for you to want to flick the switch 10 times, or you want to look on, and it is normal. So I think with the work that you're doing, you are making people aware that these are your needs and many other people's needs, and there comes out masking, and that's a whole nother conversation, isn't it? Where so I think it is good. It's creating an environment and taking up space as well. It's about time.
It is hard to explain it as well to autism. Like, I suppose as like a parent, you haven't, like, you'll probably get to do that now, but like when your son is going to school or like college in the future, having to explain to the teachers that hopefully by then that they have a little bit more understanding. Like, are you going to decide to take him to a mainstream school, or you going to decide to try and get him into a special school, which normally you have to have a EHCP, like a education like plan with his needs, what he needs support with, what he struggles with, and always adding to it. Like you always have to add to it. So if something new comes up, a new thing, like I don't know, like if someone might like doing a particular thing at home or something, or like staying at home or being attached to a certain thing. So it all goes in.
Yes, that's true. That is true. Oh, gosh. EHCPs give me a bit of anxiety, to be honest, because it's such a long process. But yeah, you're right. It is all of that because it evolves. And also the thing is, as you grow, you change as well, the same way that a neurotypical person would. So yeah. So how have you, I know you're asking the questions, but I also want to get to know you. How do you think your parents have coped with raising a boy who is autistic?
Well, it's been hard because I remember I went to Great Ormond Street Hospital in London to get tests done, and it was something that I didn't know really at the time what was going on, what I'm getting tested for what, and it was always gonna be hard, but my mum's always on the ball and up to date and everything, and really good, and then it's good, and like it does. I say probably does affect her at that particular time, because having, I suppose, deciding when you want to explain you have autism, and like what does that mean? I need more support with things. We're a bit more slower. I think you find a lot of your star sign as well. It says quite a lot about you there. But yeah, you want to ask me questions. It's like a conversation. I like to keep the podcast episodes like rather than just one way, because it'd be a bit boring then, wouldn't it?
Hey, I'm not boring. No, I guess it's good to know, isn't it? It's interesting. It's really interesting. Have you watched or read the book called The Reason I Jump?
I've heard of something like that though. I don't think I've heard of it though, or like seen it.
You need to read it or to watch it. I think it's now out as a film. But it's written by a boy. I think he was non-verbal at the time, and I think he was 9 or 10 when he wrote the book. And it's basically his experience. So he explains what his life is like as a a person who is on the spectrum. And it was one of the first books that I read when my son was diagnosed. And I remember, well, I didn't read it. I cheated. I listened to it as an audiobook because I'm not great with reading. And I remember with every chapter, I kept nodding, and it was like an aha moment, because it's him explaining why he does certain things. Things like outdoors. I don't know whether you like being outdoors, but my son, he literally looks like his legs are not attached to his body. He will just go for miles and miles and miles. And I don't know whether it's the rhythm or just the air being the freedom, all of that stuff. And again, it makes me understand, and it made a lot of people understand. I know we were talking about Clubhouse earlier, but that's we've been doing a book club on a Sunday based on that book in terms of the reason I jumped, and we read each chapter and then welcome adults or people who care for people who are autistic to ask questions or share their experiences. And again, it affirms what this young boy Naoki is writing about in terms of his experiences, because people can actually relate. So I would highly recommend reading, listening, or watching The Reason I Jump. Yeah.
You have to remind me. yeah.
I will. I've got another question, and that is time. It's the concept of time that I find it so fascinating that all the adults who are my friends who are autistic say they have no concept of time, which makes sense, because my son, as soon as it's light outside, he assumes it's morning and he gets up. As soon as it's dark, he gets tired and goes to bed, or he tries to go to bed. So what fascinates me is the time changes. So when we gain an hour or when we lose an hour in the UK, now I text my friends who are autistic and say, has anything changed? And they'll say no, they don't even notice that there's been a change. Do you notice the change in hours, when you gain the hour or lose the hour?
It's quite interesting, that is, because I suppose it doesn't seem because time goes fast anyway, doesn't it? Like day to day. Like 5 minutes ago, I can imagine it was this morning. but with the darkness and the lightness, I do prefer when it gets light earlier, rather than the dark. So that's going to be soon, because that time of year. But with the time, I don't think I have a concept. Like, I struggle to say, maybe to say, if someone said you got to be up by like 4:30 or 4:15 or something like that, I'm more of like the clock, like you say, 7:35, or we're currently, as this is recorded, it was started at 7, so it's 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. So if someone says something the other way, I would get confused, and I'll say it in a way I can understand, even though you're always learning, like with maths and stuff and stuff. Like, part of being autistic, I think I struggle with that kind of time concept. But I'd say always depending on what time you wake up, I suppose. how many hours, like if it's the same or different than like gaining an hour and losing it.
Yes, it is interesting. And you kind of, it gives an insight, doesn't it? I feel like then I'm coming into your world where I'm trying to understand it, and I find it fascinating. So with the concept of time, or lack of concept of time, do you find that you struggle in terms of work then? Or you want to be an employee, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, unfortunately, I did do some work experience before the pandemic started, and it was like a direct meats place, and there we did it was like a meat factory. It wasn't the ideal thing for me, because I'm a qualified football coach, but I'll talk about that in a minute. I was there, and the first time I was there, I explained what autism was because no one knew about it. And like with the work side of things, because they liked me so much, they paid me for how many hours I did, and I had a little fob go in and stuff. And because they didn't put me on the knife things, that there was a rule about me not using a knife because I'm not good with tools like that. And like I could, if I'm distracted talking to someone, I'll be doing that and not concentrating on like the cutting, because at mainstream, for example, I wasn't, I suppose, supervised properly. They try to supervise everyone at once, and then I go to someone, I cut myself with an apple peeler, and I'm bleeding. They said go, and then they look at me, and then they watch out for me, and when I have an accident, and like if like parents haven't been not like not very happy at the school for allowing that to happen, because if they were watching properly and supervising, that wouldn't have happened. And me, like if teachers aren't noticing me and like engaging with me, I kind of feel like I suppose what's the point if they're just gonna not notice if I'm struggling? Because if I'm struggling, I won't always ask. Autistic people don't. Like I haven't said that to the direct meat place. I might not always ask because for help, and they say, will you try? And yeah, I will try. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I stopped going there. And for work, it's really hard for me because as well as having autism, having a chronic illness with Crohn's as well is hard, because that I'm classed as like extremely clinically vulnerable. So that kind of limits going to work, and not doing that at the moment. So just continue doing like English and my maths for the time being. And then because I got an offer, well, from a person when I was at primary school, I did coaching, like football, like I like football, and like the person there was teaching it for all my years in primary, and then I went over once I finished, help at football camps and stuff like that. And then he did contact me if I wanted to come, and he said, yeah, I will, but when things improve, and when things improve, I'd love to, and to work for people, and because I don't want to go into close contact, because it could potentially mean worse situation for me. But yeah, it's harder for people who are autistic to get jobs anyway. So it's nice that he's offered, because I've always mentioned, that's my job, my dream job. I want to work with you. Because he mentioned that what you could do, Mason, is you could go back to the primary school, because we still do things there, and you could be teaching people that have autism, and you've got autism yourself, so you'll be helping them as well as a job role with us. So I thought that was really good, and I'm still looking forward to it. And I did mention it earlier this year, but little did we know the year could get as worse as it has been the last few years, with events happening across the world and not knowing what could happen. So it is tough, and that's going to have to be put on hold, suppose, when the world gets better and heals from what's happening.
Yes, that's amazing. I actually, I love that, because in my area, it is all mainstream activities. So things like football, I have to take both the twins to mainstream football, coaching, even gymnastics. I think that's a perfect activity for my son Oliver, because of the bouncing, basically, the input. From a sensory point of view, I think he would enjoy that. But again, I then have to start thinking about the one-to-one, or the environment, how busy it is. With football, they have been going for about a year, and Oliver has started to take to it. But then, because, and this is my understanding as a neurotypical, because there's a ball, and then there are other people playing, as in on his team or even on the opposite team, And then there are us as parents, spectators, there's sound, there's a lot going on. He then doesn't know. So even when we're, you know, as parents are saying, tackle, tackle, he just doesn't understand. So I think someone like you would be good. Our coach is really good, but I think someone who actually understands or who is autistic would be brilliant for activities, especially for young children.
Yeah. I'm actually part of an organisation called the Mighty Schools Council, and like an ambassador, and part of that I do different jobs and roles and around autism awareness and Crohn's awareness and awareness as a whole, different type of things. Like you got like all sort of special needs there and helping, and that there is a football place there, and I did do that for a while, but I thought I wanted to take my way from that space and do something that is my dream with this person that inspired me most of since I was younger, and I've always wanted to. And even though I love doing things with the Mighty School Council, that I'm supposed to be doing an autism talk, like a speech in May. And I actually went for the first time. I met up with a couple of the ambassadors not too long ago, just to go to the venue where it is, and I still keep my distance and everything. And because COVID's still here, and people, I suppose, don't understand that until they've got it themselves, and it's still here. And you'll see it's not as talked about as much now because with events that's going on in other countries, but we thought pandemic was bad enough, and then something else happened which we never thought would happen, since the last time it did, all those years ago. But yeah, it's it's I can understand with you with the football, right? I can imagine like him possibly just going to the ball while they're playing, and not focusing on that they're having a match. I'll stay away. They understand. It's it's hard, and like at the Mighty School Council when I was helping coaching, there are people there with all sort of like special needs, and yeah, like it is hard, and we should be having now, because autism I think it's been around a while, like schools and people that you don't need all these special schools. It should be all mainstream's fine. Really shouldn't be, because there should be no such thing as a special school or a mainstream school. It should be just a school. That's it. School where everyone understands. But that's an ideal world.
It's true. Just an inclusive environment. Because and I think that's where some of the issues come from as well, because it's only encouraging that exclusion by, you know, taking one set of children into one environment and another set into another environment, and then after school we're all expected to then socially just be aware of each other. But the world doesn't work like that, and that's the reason why, you know, we've got all of this going on in the world, because there is a lack of understanding. Whereas if the understanding was ingrained from the get-go, then it wouldn't be an issue, would it? So
yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Like and stuff. And like how long did it take from the process of your son getting diagnosed, having autism? How did it take to like be okay, like get away to the fact that you were feeling like it was really bad, it was the worst thing? Like how did you get over that feeling that way?
I still, don't get me wrong, I still have days. I had a day just yesterday after dropping him off at school. So there are some, because I know there are some positives, and the positives can only really be there if I fully commit to his needs. I don't know. That's so I can say, I guess I am kind of not over it, but I am starting to get my head round it. But I don't know. I just think because he, you know, as we get older, naturally things change. I am a little bit anxious about what the future holds, and hence why, you know, I was asking you about the mainstream versus special school, because again, there's always a trigger, isn't there? Where I feel like, if I can use the term normal, we're living a normal life, until there's a trigger, there's a need that hasn't been met, and then we then are reminded that, oh yeah, there is a difference. So yeah, to say I have accepted, I think, yeah, I would be lying if I said that. And I think as a parent as well, it's one of those things that I'll always be worried about.
Yeah, it's like in that situation in the A word when it was his time to go to school, and they went into a mainstream school, and none of the parents there wanted him, because they didn't understand the term of being autistic, and they were put in a difficult position. Like, should I just take him out to keep you all happy, which they did in the end, to take him to a special school, and which they didn't want that. Like you're saying, like the term normal, they wanted him to be normal. They hated they hated it, especially the dad did. The dad hated it, having autistic, possibly not being able to have a conversation,
Yeah.
like me and you are. So
Mm.
so yeah, which is unfortunate. Then these people like have who aren't verbal, that can't and possibly
Yeah,
won't never be able to do that, and of course everyone's going to fear what will happen in the future, like once they leave school or going to work, what's going to happen with that.
that's
It's
exactly.
tough.
Yeah, I do think again, he's still young, but then I
Yeah,
do think about, it does the future hold? Will he work? Will he live independently? Will he? I think it's communicating the need that's the issue, because as a parent, you want your child to go into school and then for them to come out and say, oh, Jack was mean to me, and then you say, oh well, were you mean back to Jack? Whereas, you know, when we're picking Oliver up, because he's non-verbal, we just have to wait for him to then, I don't know, express non-verbally that he's not happy. But again, we won't really know what's happened. So it is, you're trusting the people that spend all day with your child, basically. So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because what it was with my special school I was at, that they had soft play rooms, sensory rooms. They had a place if you wanted to go out, like yeah. So you had all that. Like I was in a class where we were all verbal, we could communicate with each other. Um, so, and then you'd have the people that are non-verbal kind of in the class, with possibly, yeah, some people that are non-verbal as well, so they wouldn't be on their own. So it was good, and I loved it, and since I joined and since I left, and that afterwards they did do a college there, and then I went on from the college, wanted to go back to mainstream, so I went back to a mainstream, which due to the pandemic wasn't, I suppose, really understanding of situation. I think I had to go in and stuff, and then at the moment I sit here just doing English and maths and moving into a more better one. Therefore, needs health and autism. So
Mm.
yeah, it is. Yeah, special schools are fun, much better from my experience. But everyone has a different experiences. I know autistic people that do go to mainstream and they do well, and it's for them, but it's not for everyone.
That's true, because the way I've understood, and I don't know whether this is right, is if your autism affects you in terms of taking in from a like an academic point of view, so basically sensory overload, regulation, yeah, so all of that, if you are, if it's there in terms of the learning, but you're distracted, you are better off going to special school. But then if you need the social aspect in terms of the input, then you are better off going to mainstream. That's the way I've understood it. Yeah, so if it's more of a social engagement situation, then yeah, mainstream might be the place to help with the social interaction. But if it's the processing, then special school is better. But again, I don't know.
You're not going to know till what happens, though, do you? Yeah.
I wonder if they do trials for special school.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah, I went in for a day. I had a day trial and see if I liked it, and then yeah, I did it's better. I suppose it was hard at first to change to somewhere that's new. I knew no one, and then yeah, it was better. I suppose when I joined, I didn't like it either because I didn't like I did like the change, but I didn't like why I had to do this. Not like why I should move. Why couldn't the other people understood me? But
Yeah.
but I got to it and I liked it, and yeah, I liked it, and it was good. And like you say, there's all sort of different types of autism, not just like non-verbal and verbal. You got maybe people are very intelligent in one certain thing, and they'll be able to, like maths, for example, and then they won't need help and stuff like that. And some people will, like for example, football knowledge or stuff like that, I'll be fine. Or I like Doctor Who, so that's part of my autism. I love it, and I talk about it a lot to people, and it's part of my autism. You kind of really like something or one particular thing, and you go to that, and like with me, and that's what I do, and I like it. And like with football, always going with your hobbies. Really, autism is
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's, well, I like to call it obsessions. I know I shouldn't, but it is one of those where you find an interest.
That's what I say.
There's no. Yeah. I was going to ask a question. What now? Oh, in terms of stimming. So do you? I guess, yeah, it's part of autism. You stim anyway. But have you, as you get older, do you then start to manage the stimming and also self-regulation as well?
Yeah, like since I got older, I get more confident about different things and still do certain things. Like as I normally talk to people, I fiddle with something. So like yeah, at the moment I'm fiddling with this with like an AirPods thing. So there used to be some cube of you know when you hangers on the your clothes, and you have this number thing.
Yeah.
I took that away, and then all of a sudden it ended up over here, and then I lost it. So then I'm here with these things. Just open it like that.
Yes.
Yeah. For just, I suppose, helps like people like for people that I understand, they'll think it's just, it distracts you from doing something, but it doesn't. Like you can have things, you can listen to music, which they allow in mainstream. No, sorry, not mainstream. Special. And you can do this, and like in a mainstream school, a person has no idea what autism is. They think, oh look, he's on his headphones, he's not concentrating, he's not listening. He's got to be told off, or someone's rocking on their chair. Although it is dangerous rocking on your chair, but don't be aggressive or don't be nasty towards the person who's doing that. And then they get anxious over, like feel like you're getting threatened, I suppose, towards the person, and then they act on it. And it's just, I suppose, stimming. I've always done it, I suppose, and just keep me on track with different things, and like yeah.
Okay, again, it's interesting. It's something, like you say, people don't know, but then if they were aware, they would just put it down to stimming, wouldn't they? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like I'm more like, these are actually pretty new as well. Got them for Christmas as well. Yeah, I got these for Christmas, and they are handy. I suppose not handy, I can always open them like this. But I don't always do it. Like if I'm I suppose another thing, I'm a sensory person with my autism. I, for example, if someone's eating loud, I won't like it, and like I'll get irritated by it. Why you have to eat so loud? And like on the plate, it's like the forks and knives, and I don't like that. And like,
Yeah.
or for example, people touching me when not being asked, or like that's why I like the social distancing rule when it was out, because don't go near me, I'll be fine. Just stay where you are, stay where I am. Anyway, um, but yeah, yeah, there's that. Although I will go for a football match, seeing my team.
Well, I'm just thinking, so if you are, so you basically you avoid stimulation in terms of touch. So what, I guess your parents then learn, don't they? Because that is one of the things that I worry about, that with the other children, so as in my son's other siblings, they do like cuddles, but then I don't know whether Oliver likes cuddles, so I tend to avoid it. I think there is a clue, because if I say, do you want a hug, he does back. He doesn't give a hug, he backs his head into me. So I guess that's a no. But it's that fear of, as a parent, you then don't want your child to feel like you don't love them as much. But then in the room on Clubhouse, someone did say that actually not touching your child shows them that you love them, because you are respecting that boundary. Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, like I have friends that have like been touchy. Like there's some autism people that are like, I'm just everyone's different. Like that's a good thing about being autistic. Everyone has their own ways. Everyone does things differently. Like I have a friend of mine who likes touching. COVID times, definitely don't want to touch. I will live with and knowing like they're safe and stuff, but not a person that is unaware, and people that say they understand that they don't, they just say it for the sake of it, because they want to be nice, they want to say feel they're being supportive towards you, but I'd rather someone be honest than lie about it, and because yeah, like I will occasionally say, yeah, can you hug me? But I'm not one to do it 24/7. Like for example, once from a local football team, I had a panic attack. I think it was because of my that's with my Crohn's actually, and I thought it was because I was quite a lot of pain. And then I was unaware it was in the football stadium, and then I it was during the match. It was, and said I wanted to get out, and the turnstiles, and they said no, you've got to go round. And I was they could say I was over exaggerating, but I wasn't. I said I want to go that way, let me out, and I had a panic attack. Like I thought it was like a more painish one, which I don't have many. I haven't really had many of attacks before, so it was quite new. It was new, new feeling. But I got taken to like the bit that back where like they calm you down and they can sit you down, like relax you, and which was nice. And the guy said I have like a chronic condition as well, and I chatted to him a little bit, and then I was saying to him, can I go on the pitch? And I didn't allow that though. I think I said to my dad, say ask him. And he said no, you can't do that. It would have been nice though, even though I've met the team I support, the former manager. I got his personal phone number, because I was there. I went there, and like I got my season ticket for this season. I was on unexpected. I didn't think I was going to meet him, because beforehand, I wrote a letter. I wrote a letter to it, the team, and they said I got me thinking I'm gonna get like a letter back. I get a phone call from the manager, because I've put my number in there, an email as well, and he says I'm the manager, and I would love you to come down and come and see me. Fortunately, we didn't have to do that, because now he's not the manager anymore. But at that time, I met him. I was there. I was actually on the actual page of the football club as well. which they're not in the top division, but they are in a high, like, professional. But part of that was really fun, and I said, well, when you left, still want to keep in contact, and he said yeah, and so yeah, but it was pretty cool. Giving my season ticket, I met the CEO as well, a couple of the other guys who are there, and I was actually on a video. It was pretty cool because I got really nice comments, like that had all camera people come out like you're on telly, and camera people come in there, and then uh, I'm there, and then I watch the video, and then get lots of people saying that what wonderful from the club, wish they could do more things like this. And they know I'm vulnerable, they take a test, they wear the mask as well. And yeah, because it was nice. It was a nice experience then to do that, and then it go like on the social media pages, which was brilliant because I in the comments I said I'm amazed that I'm the person who got it. Then I get a load of really nice comments, and probably reached out to some people who messaged me. It was really good. I don't normally use Twitter as a platform or go on it much as I suppose the other social medias, but it was so good because it works differently to the others, like more of a messaging system than posts really. And then you get like really nice comments there. And I kind of, on my actual account, I still got it on there because you can pin a post that you really want to top, and even though it's left, I still keep it there because it was really good. And
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, when was that then? How many years ago?
This year.
Was it?
It might have been last year. No,
Oh, yeah.
it was last year. It weren't this year. It was late last year though, and it was pretty cool. And I can send you actually the video afterwards.
Yes,
if you want.
please.
And, but
they
yeah,
do more of.
it was great.
Oh God.
Yeah, and like no, I have autism and Crohn's. Like I going in for, instead of handshake, doing probably arms, like elbows. That was still a good thing. But yeah, that was brilliant. That was, and fun. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like it's, but I don't go as much now because I suppose of COVID and things now, and no restrictions anymore really. For people not really good, or for some it can be, but not for everyone that really. But yeah, it's yeah, hopefully the world improves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true, because it has been a long time, hasn't it, that we've had to live with this. So you're right, it's about time, isn't it?
yeah. And then when these things happen, we kind of feel like, when's this going to end? Like
Exactly.
beginning of the year, we thought, hang on, it's going to be a new year. Things are getting things with the pandemic, like people are having these vaccines that like help for people supposed with the system, but not knowing that you can still get COVID with it, and that doesn't mean you can't.
Exactly.
Which I think some people miss thingy, don't they? Like understand that like the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting it.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And you know that also there are still some vulnerable people. That's the thing, isn't it? That people misunderstand. So yeah,
that's it. Like I spoke to actually like on the first actually the opening episode of this autism series, spoke to a person that has autism and is very careful how she does things, and she goes that she had COVID quite not too long ago, and said, yeah, you can still get it. People are still getting it. I actually know a person who I was arranging to have like a catch up on a Zoom call, and she said like at first it was her mum had COVID, and now she has it and feels a bit rubbish. So anyone like it's weird, isn't it? Because sometimes with a person that you live with, they have it, and then you're in the same house and you don't. Sometimes you don't get it. That's the weird thing.
I think it's the tests.
Yeah. Yeah. I was. I'm not shocked that we had a pandemic, because the human race are selfish. um, I actually said that in the last episode I did, because with that particular person, he there are good things about the pandemic we mentioned, and there's good things like about it as well as bad.
Yeah.
Like with autistic people, it can be tough on them, and like speaking from an autistic point of view, like routines is a massive part of people's lives, and
Yeah.
a change of it is not ideal. Like from my point of view, it's changed quite a lot. Like
Yeah.
going and having the first year of college, and then putting a stop to things, and that actual situation was I go in and I left the classroom because the COVID was starting to hear a bit more about it. We're having a pandemic. We're going to have to, something's going to happen about this. And helper was in there, and she sneezed, and she had her hand on her mouth. And I left my bag. I stand outside because it was practically near the end of the lesson, like 10 minutes or so. And then I ultimately left the classroom without saying anything. And then later that day, well, at the end, when she left, I kind of made sure she didn't see me, because I didn't want to have a conversation about it. And what happened was she later that day, it was PE, and she said, "Oh, Mason, you left." And I said, "Did you know why I left?" And then her response was, "Oh, I just presumed that you had a doctor's appointment to go to, because sometimes I would have a regular blood tests. I had one not so long ago, actually." Um, um, but I told her the reason is because I left with you. I told her quite like that. I left because you sneezed without putting your hands on your mouth. And COVID or not, that's not on, is it? um, and then she said, "Oh, I haven't got COVID." But and then I think I said, "What? You've done a test since I'll talk." And even if she did a test, it wouldn't register anything, would it? Like, you got to have it quite in advance to possibly, even a test done, it's not 100%, is it? The best ones you get are at the hospital. If you go for our CPR, they're probably the best ones. That done an actual flow, but
Yeah.
but what happened was and then I said, "You didn't even put your hands on your mouth," and then you're gonna laugh. The excuse was, I had a sore back. And I said, and then she kind of apologized, because she's nice lady, very helpful. It's just that didn't understand with that particular situation. And I was gonna consider going home that day, but I didn't. I stayed. Um, I said I'm staying. I thought I'll stay for the day and do PE, because I like doing the PE, and if it's a bit of
Yeah.
dodgeball and stuff, and it was table tennis and stuff. And yeah, I stayed, and then after that I didn't go back. Well, because I got a letter from the government telling me to isolate, so that's what I did. And the whole world pretty much was as well.
Yeah.
And I took that time to go out more, because I knew the whole world weren't pretty much stopped in it, and we could still go out and stuff. There was, I suppose there's like a curfew time where you could only go for essentials, like and like, yeah, just those kind of things. But it was different. It was the first and second wave were probably one of the toughest ones, and it's improved. With like beginning of last year was majority of lockdown. So
Yeah. But it was
yeah,
better, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was. It was better. It was better because we didn't have to I suppose we knew we was in a better situation than it was to start with.
No, that's true. You reminded me, because you said you went back for PE, and talking to you, it seems like you like sport, obviously, because you like, the football side of things. Does the competitiveness put you off at all? Because I sometimes worry that I might think that my son wants to take part in activity just for health and recreational reasons. But obviously sport becomes competitive, doesn't it? So how do you handle that side of things?
I suppose it is hard because, like, for me, I've always been into sport, and I suppose people look up to me because I like it, and I say I'm quite good at football. I played football, and I'm the one who gets the ball a lot, and I kind of think I'm the one that people look up to pass and stuff like that, and stuff, but yeah, it's hard, and I always wanted to be the person that was the good. Like, nothing against anyone else. I want to be the person that everyone looks up to. Mason, because that wasn't the case at mainstream. It was more the case on, like, special people looked up to me. People said, "Oh, look, why is Mason not in today?" I got some messages, "Are you coming in today?" And I kind of felt wanted, and I didn't really feel wanted at mainstream. And, like, I can understand because, like, for example, this football thing that I want to do, they get split into groups. There's a younger, there's an older version where, like, they are very autism trained, and, like, they're very trained in what they do, so that they understand the needs, they understand it very well. So that's what they suggested me, because seeing things I do in my podcast, doing quite a lot on there about autism, about Crohn's as well, noticing that people have different special needs that need to be looked at, that need to have a conversation about it, which would if you did choose a special school and you thought they were understanding, I suppose they could, they should link it back to the AOL, let you back if you want to stay, like the mum did, I think, first few times at the special one, that just stayed and had an overlook and if you wanted to. But if you felt like he might get, like, because you're watching him, or he might not even notice that, but if he does, maybe I shouldn't be here, or I should just worry about other things for now, and do my job, and then pick him up. But yeah,
the pressure, isn't it? That's what I mean. I think when it comes to the competitive side, it just seems as if as soon as there is a, like, an expectation to perform, that's when it just ruins things, isn't it?
yeah, because I think what anyone can do is just try the hardest. Like, I took part in, like, at special schools, what I never thought I'd do, in, like, events, like running events. It kind of reminds you about going to Olympics, like them sort of things. I took part in a race that there's lots of pressure on me to do well, I think, because they got teachers saying, you'll do well, Mason, you'll be up there and stuff. And at one point, like, the head teacher at the sports day, because we have sports day like at schools, don't you? And he thought I was going to have a heart attack, or something like that, because I was over probably trying myself, and another person that was non-verbal, was a little bit verbal, but as a like autism, where, like, not as not as like me. He can communicate, but not as he wants to win it. He wants to win it, and the teacher said to me, because I was wanting to win it as well, and, like, they said, "Can you let this person win?" And I said, I don't want to let him win. I want to win myself. And I did let him win, and they said, "Thank you, well done," because if I didn't let him win, I would have been the bad guy, and then he would have been crying most probably that I didn't win. And yeah, and they said thank you, you did something really good there, and and that's when he said I had a heart attack, because I was really trying that race and trying, I want to win it, and I shouldn't have done that race, to be fair, because I didn't win the next one, and that was the one I really wanted to do. I just wanted to do it
I
to do.
know. So do you have any siblings then, Mason?
Yeah, I have brother, sister, and mum and dad.
Are they older or are they younger than you?
No, they're all older. Mum and dad are, of course. My brother and sister are as well. So yeah, young.
Okay. Because I was just thinking about the competitive side of things. Yeah, that I wonder what, because I guess, do you think that having siblings also, like, it alters your personality, doesn't it? Because, you know, you're quite funny. So, but it's quite, it's interesting because people who are autistic take things literally.
Yeah.
Is a fact. But so in order for it to be funny, you have to have an understanding. So yeah, I just wonder whether having the siblings, you've had enough practice to, in terms of sparring, basically.
Yeah, like I've got my brother. My sister's a teacher, and my brother, they like I used to live with my brother when he was younger. Then he went to uni, and he done other things, and yeah, yeah, he we I do always communicate time to time, but it's not like the young, same age and stuff. So just
Yeah.
do our own things, I suppose, and we do communicate and stuff. Like had a friend of his podcast, and he had autism, and it was actually my brother's wedding last year, and postponed for a while, and he was there and uh, talked to me about how it was, and like his autism. I didn't actually know he was autistic. To be fair, and he told me, and like yeah, I had heard on the podcast, and yeah, I thought why not have him on, and yeah, I had some other people that haven't been on podcasts, haven't done it before, and they come on and they like it, and they think, oh, I've really enjoyed this. Has people that on here that started their own podcast from coming on mine, so
Oh,
that's been really nice, and
yeah, good on you. Yeah, because, and this is what I mean, that I think the more it's your identity, isn't it? The more you can honor who you are, the more you can actually help other people or encourage other people to honor who they are. So the way I put it is, because I work in construction and it's very male dominated industry, and also of an ethnic minority. And I think that, you know, it was important for me to get that diagnosis for my son, because I felt like it's like me walking around not knowing why people are, well, not treating me different, why I'm a little bit different, but not knowing what it is. And then like 10 or 20 years later, finding out that the color of my skin is brown. Do you know what I mean? That it's part of who I am. So I felt like I was cheating him by not actually letting him fully understand himself, because yeah, then you can be free, can't you?
yeah, because in this country, it's like we have the freedom of speech. We can express our opinions, and unfortunately, in other countries, I don't get that. Some like us, and Americas do that as well, and I think it's good that is part of like how things are in our countries. That we can have a freedom of speech. We can say how we feel, because people, other countries don't, and it's not nice, and they get told things that are not how it is, and if they express their opinions, they get taken away, and it's a crime, and it shouldn't be that way for some countries. Like 40 years ago, I say in the old times, that when that was a thing, and you had slavery, you had all sorts of those different things where you couldn't say speech, and then you had one guy, one prime minister, one person, one guy in charge saying we should be expressing our opinions, we should be talking about it, we should allow people to say how they feel, what they want to be done, because if that doesn't happen, it's going to be a cruel place, a cruel world.
Yeah. No, I do think you're doing an amazing job. You and so many people. I've made so many friends, like relationships, honestly, that I would never have even expected to have with people. And again, like I'm saying, it's that confidence. I think the pandemic gave us all an opportunity to actually just show up as we are, with no expectation, nothing. And from that, I think I've actually made the best friendships have come from connections like this. Yeah.
I think it's great. It's like it's great talking to different people, because it kind of helped, like, because my own friendship, I suppose, friendship group kind of do their own things, and now like they do what they want. Like, I suppose I'm not as excluded because of my situation and stuff, and not being as vulnerable as me, and can take the risks, I suppose. And I just don't want to do that, because you never know what can happen. Like, health is the most important thing, and you don't want to risk anything for that. And like, that's why I do it. And I suppose the reason I created the podcast, I had no idea what one was in the first place, and hearing about it and people speaking about their stories. And I think me, in the meantime, where I don't have a job, don't even if I did have a job, I probably would still do it. And I have people on, maybe not as frequent, but it'd still be there, and still be there if I want, pop on there, talk to someone. Even people in the workplace, not only people coming in about expressing their people. I've had different parents as well come on here in the past, in the actual series that I do, because this series is actually the first time I've decided to do so I suppose a spin-off to like an Autism Awareness Month. And I thought, it only come into my eyes late February. Hang on a minute, if I do this, that'd be great. Because every day of the month episode expressing how people feel, how people, they have any frustrations, that they feel uncomfortable about something. Me being autism as well, having autism, and people have and do get diagnosed later in life as well, which I spoke to a person that was based in America, which I was shocked, because she didn't know of autism before she was diagnosed, and that was something to me. But yeah, it's tough being autistic, classed as an autistic person, and you can get, I suppose, people be mean sometimes. I suppose I'll say an app that probably out on the most social medias that you do get probably the most hate on probably would be TikTok. Out of all of them, like Instagram, I've never seen anyone putting hate on anything I do, so I've really liked that. And I think it's one of the best ones to connect to different people, and as well. And I think it's great.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because part of me being autistic, another thing that's kept me alive, well, not alive, like keeping alive, just being like upbeat in the pandemic, is like go back to Doctor Who. I do on my own Doctor Who videos. I like to do just to keep me occupied.
Doctor Who a lot. That you like Doctor Who a lot.
Yeah, and people who often listen to it will see I do talk about it a lot, and I do. There's some people that like it as well, and we mention it on the podcast episodes. And I know not everyone won't like Doctor Who, but it's something that I like, and it's something people like too, and I kind of like to relate, because it's, although it's not this podcast is not directly about Doctor Who, but with being autistic, people have hobbies, and they, like you're saying, like an obsession about a certain thing. Like it can be Doctor Who, it can be Star Wars. It don't have to be a TV program. It could be a sport like football. Like it can be anything.
Again, not all autistic people are the same. We
No,
know
no.
this.
Yeah.
But you're the first person who is autistic who is into science fiction. We had a conversation about films and stuff. So horror films, sci-fi, and I think reality ranked the top because autistic people have to understand what's going on. So if for a horror, for example, if someone's like sawing someone's head off, they're thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. Why are you doing that? And I'm like that when it comes to sci-fi. The reason I can't, or what's the other one? Where Harry Potter, it's more fantasy, isn't it? The reason I can't get on with those type of that genre is because it's not real. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm surprised that you love Doctor Who.
Since I've watched it probably since your son's age.
Really?
Yeah. And because the revival of Doctor Who was then in 2005, and I would have been 5, and I was born in 2001, so I would have been 4 or 5, and I was that young, and like, but autistic point of view, I did say, is this really going to happen? What's happening in the moment? And because there are scary moments in Doctor Who, maybe not as much now because I'm older, and no, that's not real and stuff. But I always was scared, and I maybe have like once there was a clockwork monster underneath the bed in the one episode, and then I think because we all think about stuff that's under our bed. I suppose everyone, maybe if you're autistic or not, I think that if you go to sleep, is there something under there? Is there someone there? And it kind of go into, I suppose, the supernatural and stuff like that. Is that real? Is it not? But yeah, like you think, is someone there? Is it dark? If it's dark at night, because people with autism don't like it, and sometimes I used to hate sleeping in the dark when I was younger, and now I love it. Yeah.
It's interesting. Honestly, it's interesting. But like you're saying, it makes sense because it's the predictability, isn't it? I was in a support group, a spectrum support group, and I went in and said, oh, my son has started watching, like, on YouTube, people playing with toys instead of him playing with the toys. It doesn't make sense. And they said it's a predictability because he's probably watching the same video every single day. He knows when something's going to happen. So I guess for you it's the same in terms of Doctor Who, because you watched it from so young, you actually know what's happening. So it makes sense.
Yeah, if we were to talk about Doctor Who, I could talk to you about all day. I could talk to you what happens in a particular episode. Even though you haven't watched it, I could say what happens to the first minute to minute 45. But yeah, and like for me, like what they call them, like I think they call them Comic Cons, where you meet the characters and stuff. But I've unfortunately never been to one of them. But I was grateful to have on my podcast late last year an actor from Doctor Who. As well, and he played he played in a period of Doctor Who, and he wasn't one of the main characters. He was in a few episodes, but the episodes he was in was really, really good, and we had a nice conversation about that. And he has he talked about his disability as well, and like that was actually the first of my podcasts I've actually uploaded on YouTube. Yeah, so you can watch that if you want, like, just to see what it was like interviewing a person from a sci-fi show, like speaking to an autistic person.
Yeah, that would be really interesting, really interesting. Like I'm saying, it's just that, but it makes sense. It makes total. Now that I know what I know, it makes sense that I think is the predictability, and because it's what you know as well, so you're comfortable with it. Yeah.
For today, for example, yesterday I did a Doctor Who video, and today I watched this particular one I really like. I did quite a lot of the time, and I sent it to some people saying the video I did kind of relates into what's happening in the world at the moment, and I suppose I could send it to you if you want, if you wanted to see it, but it's something that I like, and music is really good to me. And for many autistic people, music is very passionate.
Yeah.
And for me in the Doctor Who, well, I would just, for a day, if I'm maybe editing or a podcast episode or doing some work of mine from home, I'll go on YouTube or on the computer, and I've got my earphones in, like headphones on, and I'll type in Murray Gold, because that's the guy's name who writes and creates the Doctor Who tune music. But unfortunately, he doesn't do that anymore. But I will just listen to a soundtrack of it, and then in my mind, I will picture that I'm there, like maybe a character from Doctor Who, just doing stuff, and you just have that lot of that imagination in you and what you could do.
Yeah, that is so good to hear as well, because honestly, it's like reading The Reason I Jump. Talking to you is like reading that book, because as you're talking, it makes sense to me. But again, it's because I've done the research, but I've done the research from a neurotypical point of view. So just trying to understand, but then it's like reading a book and then watching the film. So I've read the book and I'm now watching the film, and it makes sense. So yeah, that's mad. That is mad.
You have to check that out. You have to remind me, because I forget. yeah, but like, it's all those sort of different things that relate into one diagnosis, and like it's not just one thing, and it can change. Like you can sunlight. I don't know if he likes buses and or stuff. He likes playing with his cars or something like that, because I know when I was younger I did. Even though it will be different, I had you know those mats, and then you had like the roads on there, and then you had a set, which I don't think people see anymore, but it's like from my childhood I see that.
Yeah, we've got those, because he loved that was part of the reasons why the health visitor said he could be on the spectrum when he was young, because he liked anything that's cylindrical, like a wheel of a car or things that move like that. But again, it's that it's the isn't it? It just keeps going. So yeah, he likes that. But now he loves Play-Doh. But again, it's a side, and he to him, he's building something. So even if I go and play Play-Doh with him, he doesn't want me to play with it because he's built something. He calls them models, but I don't see what they look like. But to him, he sees a burger or he sees a pancake, or so it's that imagination, like you're saying, that it's because I'm creative. I love hearing what's going on in someone's mind, because it paints a picture, doesn't it?
Like it does. And I remember when I had that set, and I used to always line them up, and I think that's pretty similar how I got diagnosed. I think it was like that. And I do remember playing with Play-Doh. Had a box of magnetics, like you had them as well. I had them, and that kind of determined as well, and another factor, connect them in a certain way and how I'm doing it.
Yes, we have stickle bricks. And again, he used to, before he was diagnosed, we have this cushion which has colours on it. So it's a multicolored cushion. So he would put the cushion like somewhere in the line, and then he would line up the same stickle bricks. So he would tip them all out, find the same ones, put them in an arrangement. It was like a cross. And then, but it would be the same colours every single day. And the cushion had to be in that position. So if you moved the cushion, he would get upset. So again, that was leading up to the diagnosis, where it was as if it was that order, and he would get really anxious. He gets anxious now if we come from school and he's left the room in a mess. The playroom, for example, he's left his Lego out there, and I happen to tidy it up. If he's had a bad day and he's struggling to transition from school to home, if he walks in and the house is tidy, he will have a meltdown. And I think it's that OCD that I was talking about earlier, that if to him it makes sense. The things that he's lined up make sense, and they give him order.
I've got a question for you. What's your thoughts on like attendance in schools with people maybe have I suppose autism, and maybe things that make them maybe not to be there all the time? And do you think attendance should be an important thing?
I was thinking about that just today. No, because I think if you are autistic, well, when you are autistic, you tend to, your capacity. Well, yeah, your body knows your capacity. So I don't think it should be determined by the time, basically, someone else's time. We talked about that time, the awareness of time. I think it should be that you go in, and once you're ready to leave, you leave. And if you don't need to go in, you don't go in. Because another thing that I've noticed is what you could be learning at school, you might not actually take in because of the sensory processing, the regulation, the dysregulation. But you probably would take in more at home. Even if it is just having a conversation, someone who's autistic might benefit more from that. So that's why I don't think attendance should be, and it should be mandatory as in a set amount of time. The reason I was thinking about it from my point of view is my son has a school trip, and it starts at 9 and goes on up until 3 o'clock when they come home. And I think that's a little bit too long for him. Normally we tend to have a day or two for him to decompress if we've done something like gone to the zoo, etc. So I was starting to think maybe he shouldn't go into school the next day. But the problem is routine, isn't it? So he's used to going to school on that day. So again, it's a difficult one.
Yeah, because I say because at my special school, well, I was at, they had the wards like termly or each term for the most people that had the most attendance, and I wasn't granted it because I had an appointment at the hospital for, and they said because you should be here all the time, and you can't help having appointments that way. Like, it's life, like anything. And then I was granted it, and they changed their minds and stuff like that. And there's always been incidents like I forgot a pencil case once. They said the teacher said you're at detention, and I said what, for a pencil case? And then I bring it's once out of a million times I wouldn't bring it, and they said yeah, but you should bring it anyway. And I said we didn't use pencils, we was on the computers the whole lesson. And then she said yeah I know, but you should still bring it. And I said, okay, why are you giving someone else that forgot one a pencil then? And then she was put in a tough position there. And then she said, no, go to lunch. And I always talk about it, like when we talk about autism and like behaviours and stuff like that, and like because and like they actually gave, which my personal teachers did not agree with. They actually said they gave a person a prefect badge to help him with his behaviour, and it was for an autistic person. It wasn't very nice what they said to me. They said I didn't sell myself like those words, sell myself enough, and for an autistic person that could mean all different things. And later on I got granted it, but it wasn't the case. It was like, why is someone that disrupts class, which probably it didn't improve his behaviour, it possibly made it worse, because he thought he had this responsibility to do something which he could take advantage of and mess it up. And I suppose I wasn't as happy when I got it, but it wasn't like, it was nice to be one, but it would have been nice before that happened.
Yeah, that's true. And even when you say sell, you were meant to sell yourself, I think that's not fair. And that's part of the change as well that needs to come in terms of employment, because it is difficult. Now I look at it from an autistic person's point of view. a job description is so confusing when you look at it, because it's not should be this or should be that. It is, you know, could have these qualities, and it can be confusing because it can mean different things to different people. You just want to know what you need to do and how to do it, and that's it. Yeah, whereas job descriptions are very woolly, aren't they? They just, yeah, don't make sense.
Yeah, and another situation I can tell you is I got told to go to lunch, and they didn't mean go to lunch and have it. They meant just go out for the play. And I took it that just I was eating my lunch, and obviously that wasn't explained properly. And I went to the deputy head and I said something needs to be done about this. My teacher came, and the teacher that was misunderstanding it. And at the end, the outcome was teachers got more autism training in the school, which was good.
So I've got a question, because you advocate quite well for yourself, and even it looks like later on at school you did as well. Did that come from seeing your parents advocate for you in the first place, or are you just the sort of person, fair is fair and that's it? That's the way you see it?
Yeah, like I used to, when I was younger, I used to thought whatever people thought of me. I did. Like I always thought like what people would think, and and then ever since I got grown my confidence and stuff, I've said, oh, I don't care what people think of me, and like what was happened to the world now, and like what's happened with what's going on now, what's happened in the last few years. And I think, hang on a minute, I'm not fussed what people think of me. If they don't like me, they don't like me. If they do, lovely. But yeah, it's something that I suppose I chose to do myself. I got influenced because there was a My School Council page going to be created, and I was going to say I'll help. And then I got a suggestion saying, why don't you create a page for your Crohn's and you can do that? And I said, hang on a minute, that's a good idea. And then ever since then, 2020, I actually speak to a couple of people, and they thought during that year that they thought, hang on, wait, only into 2020, they actually thought it was going on years, like advocating page. And I said, no, only just this year, or speaking in 2020 it was.
Well, I was looking at your page and I was, yeah, it is really impressive, because it looks like, yeah, you have been around for a while.
Yeah, like yeah, it's something that I like to do, and like I'll take into probably a job that I want to do. And like people say you could do podcasts as a job sometimes, but it's something that's fun, but coaching is my pure goal as well. And I could have done some cool. I did FA level 1 coaching course, and I completed that. Got my qualification there, and that was fun. It was at like the uni where I live, and fun to do, meeting some great people. We'll do practicing on the defib, what was really relevant to what was happening in the European Championships last year, and yeah, with the footballer Christian Eriksen. I'm getting confused with Christopher Eccleston was in the A World. But yeah, they are very relevant, and I think more people since that happened are doing it. A bit like when the toilet roll shortage happened, everyone was getting toilet rolls, weren't they? And example, when that happened, I did a little challenge because it was lockdown. I was bored, and it was a keepy uppy. See how many keepy uppies I can do with the toilet roll. And when I shared the video, some people said some old people could be doing with that. And I said, why, it's something I'm doing, like it's fun, and don't be so negative about it. Like I'm doing it because it's fun. Like, yeah, people were buying toilet rolls, people were buying soap to wash their hands, but they should have been doing that anyways, keeping clean. Like you think, and then you think to yourself, no wonder we got into a pandemic when people were just stocking on soap to keep clean, and I think should have done that anyway. So happy birthday 3 times.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So happy birthday 3 times, and then I say lovely. But I bet people were saying happy birthday so far. Some of people happy birthday. But yeah. Is there any more questions that you have from me?
I guess one more, which is just out of sheer curiosity, and that is do you make your decision on whether you like someone within 5 seconds of meeting them?
I kind of like, what, just, is that just anyone?
No, someone who's autistic.
Okay, someone who's autistic. I suppose you can kind of tell, like, if they're for you or they're not. Like, but yeah, like, you can kind of tell if you have similarities. I suppose it always helps. With that,
yeah, because it's a trend. I've noticed that. Quite a few people say, I don't know whether, because when you are autistic, you rely not just on the verbal cues, you rely on non-verbal and just the way someone's aura. You can tell straight away. As soon as someone walks over, you think, no, you're not for me. Or yes.
Yeah, that's it. You kind of know you're not for me. Go away. Yeah.
I thought I'd that one. And no more questions. It's been interesting.
Yeah, it's been really nice. Been really nice being to you. Like, I've been like really nice talking about all different things, and now we know. We'll stay in contact. Yes,
and what I liked, I must admit, is, like you say, it wasn't just autism heavy. There is more to this condition than just the comorbidities or even the traits. They're different interests, and I think that's another thing that other people need to be aware of, that you still can live a normal life as someone who's autistic. You just need other people to understand, don't you? That we can share.
That's it.
Just different.
That's it. We just need to you can live a normal life. I suppose I don't like I don't say the word normal because no one's normal, I don't think. Like, you see that with politics. But yeah, like, everyone has their own opinions. You think some opinions are bizarre with some people, how they think, how their mind works. But like, if you just focus on yourself, like, if you don't worry about other people thinking, because that's what I thought when I was younger. That's why what people thought of me, like, they go like me or not, or they're not. And then I think now,
you don't care.
No. But I did actually do a confidence building program, part of the Motor School Council I told you about. And that was it started off actually at the special school I went to, and in the drama room, which I did drama actually there. Like a bit like the acting, being a multi-role character, and it was really nice, the feedback I got from that experience, because I would like that. That's another career path I would love to take, being an actor, as well as sports, because people. A really good comment from one of the leaders of the Motor School Council, the one who created it. He said that since I've been at this school, because he's been there for a while, that was the best multi-role character person to act as one I've seen, and that was really good. And he actually worked with the drama teacher in recent years, and when I was there, that class he didn't, and the drama teacher was really good to me and one of my favourite teachers there. And I always get on with teachers, and occasionally I've asked them to come on the podcast actually, that I've been there, and I've actually asked someone that I would love them. It was at the college I went to after and I'd love them to come on, because they were. I know everyone has favourites, I suppose. You shouldn't really, but they all say that teachers don't have favourites and students don't, but they do. I think they always gonna have favourites and stuff, and they'd have to say that, because it wouldn't be I think anything, would it, if you say, oh, that you're secretly my favourite student, don't tell anyone. Yeah, but yeah, I might have a little joke about that when I get this person on, because I'd love them to come on and catch up with them. And I do like to catch up with people that I haven't spoke to for a while. It's nice when you catch up with those people.
Yeah. Oh no, it's been good. It's been really, really good.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed speaking to you. And yeah, we'll definitely keep in contact. And you must, I suppose, send me the book. Send me what it's called. Yeah. Thank you. And it's been really nice to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Mason. Hopefully you'll invite me again.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. Lovely.